I'm Stella Kapezanou. I was born and raised in Greece, where I studied arts. I first studied arts at the Athens School of Fine Arts under a scholarship from the Greek state. And then I did my master's on Chelsea College of Arts in London under a double scholarship as well. One was from Greece and the other one was the Sir Frank Bowling Scholarship. He's an officer of the British Empire and a Royal Academician. So I'm mainly a painter. My medium is mainly painting, although occasionally I do some sculpture as well. And lately I do some ceramic sculpture that refer to my paintings. The funny thing is that I was always considering myself being an artist before I even go to the art school, since I was like a little kid, because my mom was an artist as well. So what I did my entire life was like painting. So I always thought I'm an artist. I never thought that I need to study or get a degree to become an artist, because that's what I was always doing. But professionally, I'm doing it, I think, since 2011, slowly started. Then in 2013, I had my first big museum shows in Frisiram Museum in Athens, which about the women in art, European female painters, and then it all started. So I'm a figurative painter, and which means that very much interested in the human object, human desires, and in the humans of our contemporary age. So what I do is observe and then absorb the world and what's going on around me, what are my thoughts, and then I put them down in canvases. And my practice is adjusting in that with the seeking of happiness, seeking happiness in contemporary life and showing how unattainable happiness actually is. And then I want to be a bit deeper in human relationships and the relationships with each other, and then the different kinds of relationships, the absence of relationships, or the relationships with humans and their objects. And now, since the pandemic, I turned a bit more introvert and started to examine the woman and therefore myself as well. Where do we stand as women in contemporary society? And although so many things have changed, have they really changed? How is a woman at the moment? So the way that I'm showing contemporary women is being feminine again, accepting their femininity, being sensitive, because many of the times they're nude, so they're not armed around the people, but they're also lonely, but they're also very empowered because they're big. My canvases, they're usually really big, and even though they might be nude and sensitive, they turn their eyes back to the viewer. So they always have an arrogance on the way that they look at the viewer. They have a style. They're dominant, and they also dominate over their male partners. They're bigger. They're more assured. They're turning their eyes back. They look very powerful and very comfortable in their place and in their nudity. But also, I think that what I try to do is to pose questions are we women finally equal? Is this really happening? Because the answer is always yes and no. We are in many parts, but there are still a lot to go. The thing now with CARV 23, with the residency, is that this slightly adjusted, and because now I had to look for transformative identities and also identities that might come through migration. One thing that is solid in my work, and I think that it's going to stay like this, I like paintings, or I like art that opens up over time. I don't like art that can be easily absorbed, or that you can understand exactly what it is about at the first layer, because this, to me, it doesn't give. I need art to create some kind of challenge. So I always like to do something that it is visually arresting, but it needs some kind of thought from the viewer to understand what I'm actually talking about, and leave the painting open to him to interpret the works. When I was called to create on the subject of transformative identities through migration, for me the subject could be seen as like a first layer, migration. Okay, we speak so much about and we read so much and we've seen so much art about migration. Okay, I could easily work on that. But then I could also like find deeper layers of this. So I said, what I'm actually interested in at the moment, what am I examining through my practice this last year, what I'm examining is the women empowerment. So I started searching in my mind, in Google searching about the women empowerment, and I found a soft spot there, an issue with women empowerment. And the issue is that women empowerment and the empowered woman refers to a woman who is always very privileged. She's white, she's no binary, she has no disabilities, she's straight, and she's like middle to upper class. And this is an issue. So all the paradigms that we see out there, they're like this. You know, I travel a lot and I work abroad a lot. I'm going to spend next year in the US because I'm a Fulbright grantee, so I'm going to be in New Mexico, Santa Fe, that there are like so many minorities there. It's minority over majority state. So I was, what I've seen is like women from of color trying to create an identity, and actually they already did, like a very strong identity, and be empowered through this identity and to impose it to the world out there. And I think they're quite successful of that, but trying so hard also shows that there is an issue there, and that was the issue that I talked about that beforehand. And also for me it was like a big challenge to paint, for painting itself, women of color, because I'm always used to, you know, when you live in Europe, we are in our own small world. It's like our bubble. We only see what's happening around in Europe, but we don't see what's going on in other societies. So for this exhibition, what I create is for the first time colored flesh, but snapshots. Like I focus in body parts of black women and show stereotypes that those women create to use to create the black girl matters, the black female identity. And yeah, for me that was like very interesting for painting itself, but for really expanding my personal painting horizons in a new field. But also it has, you know, humor. It says, I always like a subtle critique, not straightforward things.